Welcome back to Albatross Barbecue, everybody, and thank you for tuning back in. Today we are smoking everybody's favourite, beef brisket. I'm going to show you how I do a low and slow cook on the akorn kamado here. I'm going to show you my super simple yet delicious rub, and I'm really looking forward to giving this a bash. It's going to take somewhere between 10 and 12 hours. Stay tuned. Thank you for watching.
So let's start with having a look at our brisket. This is not a Wagyu, this is just a standard brisket. I wish there was a little bit more fat on the top there, but there's not. There is plenty of fat that we're going to have to chop away at though. This little piece will just burn off in the cook, so I'm going to chop that one off. On the sides there's a little bit of hard fat that I'm just going to trim and shape up as well. Flipping it over, there's my decal, which holds the point and the flat together. I've got a little bit of fat here that I'm going to chop away at. Not too much though, because I want to keep some fat to give some flavour. Let's start chopping. For a non-Wagyu brisket, I'm quite happy with the marbling that I've got here. I know it's not going to be the best, but with the flat, there's not much marbling, so I've kept a reasonable amount of fat there for the cook, and then on the top of the point there as well. However, what I'm doing, this is actually the day before. You'll notice that I'm not seasoning now. I'm wrapping up. I'm going to put it in the fridge. Why is that? If I put salt on there now, salt is only going to draw the moisture out. To give myself an extra 30 minutes of sleep in the morning, I've also set up the kamado in the snake method, just so it makes my life a little bit easier. Making time to plan your process is always important. So fire up some coals and then get your rub ready. We're using 1.5 tablespoons of ground black pepper. We've also got 1.5 tablespoons of Himalayan pink salt, or you can use kosher salt if you wish. We've got 1 tablespoon of garlic powder. Then we've got 1.5 tablespoons of thyme. Then lastly, 1/2 tablespoon of onion powder. Give that a good shake, and trust me, that is an absolutely beautiful and easy rub for a brisket. Next, what I like to do is grab myself some mustard. If you've seen some of my other videos, you'll know I use mustard for a lot of my meats to act as a binder. You can use oil, you can use nothing, you can use water. You can use what you want, it's entirely up to you. I like mustard though, I find it sticks a little bit better. And then once you're ready, grab your rub, make sure you cover all sides of the brisket. Give it a good coating on the top, give it a good coating on the bottom. This is where you're going to be getting most of the flavour from your rub, because it's hitting the meat directly. And as I said, turn it on its side, cover every little bit that you can. It's a big piece of meat, it can take a reasonable amount of rub, but just be careful you don't go too heavy, because you can overpower it. Just let it rest now. The coals that I fired up earlier on, they're now pretty hot, so they're forming the head of my snake. When you're cooking low and slow on a kamado, it is super important that you manage your heat. So what I like to do, put my ThermPro in there. Don't let it get away from you. Usually I put the top and the bottom damper on 4 to start it up, but the coals were already super hot, so I put it on 3, and very quickly it got up to 185 degrees. Usually I don't do this until it reaches 200, but I wanted to get it under control super quick. So in goes my heat deflector as well as my watering pan, and then I'm going to throw my brisket in. Now I did go fat side up, this was a bit of an accident, but I do correct this a little bit later on in the cook. Put your thermometer in, sit back, keep your eyes on the heat. As you can see here, an hour in, and I've really managed to get that temperature regulating perfectly. 90 minutes into the smoke, I opened it up just to give it a quick spritz of water. Didn't really need to, it was holding the moisture beautifully. So now keep it shut. Don't open it up, let it cook. Once I hit 165 degrees internal, that's Fahrenheit, I opened it up for a little look. As you can see, I've now got the flat on the top there. And I'm starting to get some nice colour, starting to get some nice bark, but I want to give it another half an hour just to try and get that bark a little bit better so I can wrap. And this is where I'm at now. So to wrap the brisket, I just got myself some butcher's paper and I sprayed a little bit of beef stock all around the paper, as well as the brisket, just to keep a little bit of moisture in there. Your target temp is going to be around 204, 205 degrees internal. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put the brisket right in the middle. I've still got water in my tray, and I'm going to put 2 thermometers in here now, one in the flat and one in the point, because they do not cook evenly or the same. Once I was hitting around the 200 degree Fahrenheit, I had a look. I got my ink bird, checked the temperature in the flat as well as the point. They weren't showing the same, and it wasn't quite tender enough. So I left it another half an hour. Once it was ready, I wrapped it up, put it in the esky for 2 hours. It's so important you let your brisket rest as long as you can.
Alright, so as you saw, there's not much of a smoke ring. That's okay, but let's see how tender and juicy she is. She certainly has a good flap, which is good. And that is very, very tender. That just broke away in my mouth so easily. So tender, so juicy. I had to have another bite. That is unbelievable. That is so well cooked. That is not the best smokiness that I've ever done, but it's definitely the most tender, juicy brisket I've cooked. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Please subscribe if you like the video, and we'll see you again soon. See ya.
Briskets can be a pain to cook, but make sure you keep enough fat on your brisket to give you some tenderness. Choose the rub that you like. Never push the brisket, just let it cook and you will enjoy a beautiful meal. Thanks for watching.